Imagine a world where the no hunger, cancer, AIDS, and other dreaded disease. A world where people could choose what their children could look like. To some, this is a scary, unnerving thought, but to others, this is an exciting new step in our future. This unraveling discovery called genetic engineering is not a science fiction anymore, and maybe a next stage in our human evolution. In order to be able to accept this, people must not back away from possibility, rather open up to them. There are many uncertainties regarding genetic engineering in humans, many of which I was afraid of until I got a better understanding of what risk will involve, as well as the many benefits of this technology. The documentary called Genetic Roadmaps explains the study of genetic engineering, advantage and disadvantage, and our genetic history. In the past 3 decades, scientists have learned how to mix and match characteristics among unrelated creatures by moving genes from one creature to another. This is called genetic engineering. The principle of genetic technology relies on isolating a gene from one organism to putting it into another of different species. This principle can be applied to plants, animals, and mammals. Genetic engineering is quite a new science which is rapidly expanding and developing technology. It has the potential for many useful developments in the fields of medicine, agriculture, industry, and conversation. However, balanced with this has been a potential to produce catastrophic problems. Another term that is associated with genetic engineering is cloning. This means using genetic engineering techniques to produce genetic identical organisms. Up until now, genetic engineering and cloning has been used to clone plants, unicellular organisms, amphibians, and simple mammals. This has led a significant advance in agriculture, industrial, and medicine. Newer techniques in the genetic engineering have enabled scientists to clone more complex mammals and open up the possibility of cloning humans. Although there are many potential benefits of this technology, the prospect of cloning humans have raised many practical, ethical, and religious dilemmas that are currently being debated by society. There are many advantages to both genetic and cloning. An advantage of cloning is that offspring is totally predictable. It is guaranteed to have the characteristic that of the parents. Scientists believe that they may be able to treat heart patients by cloning their healthy heart cells and inject them into the areas of hearts that have been damaged. Another advantage, which is still only a theory, is that skin cells can be grown for the burning victim so that they could replace burned skin. They also believe they could replace brain cells for the brain damaged and grow spinal cells for the paralyzed. Obviously, if this were happen to them, this could be a huge breakthrough. They also believe they could grow important organs such as livers, kidneys, lungs, and even hearts. This could benefit us as a race hugely if this were happen to be. I believe that cloning people is morally wrong if they were used for organ transplants. However, we can use genetics to clone specific organs only. These organs can be developed and then used for our healthy. We would not have to create a clone of ourselves, in my opinion. That would be morally wrong. Instead, scientists tell us that we are just cloning the individual organs that we need. A very strong argument against the genetics is that we are interfering with nature and anything could go wrong. In a sense, it is as if we are playing God. This leads me on my test point. We are not certain of the side effects of cloning humans and genetic manipulation. If a human were cloned, it would be identical to someone else in the world, and each person would not be unique anymore. Clones that are produced may be seen as a lower class as they are not real. They may be sourced as a fake secondary copy of which people may treat badly so they're having feelings similar to everyone else. Clones may be bought and sold on the black market as slaves, or may be eagerly produced to do specific jobs and hard tasks. The issues of cloning is not the only issue with genetics. The documentary talks about the rejection of evolution that can result based on genetic manipulation. If we adjust the gene, then we are not able to adapt to future conditions. Another major topic in the documentary is genetic mapping. Our genes are 99.7% the same as our ancestors who lived in Africa. Spencer Wells, the director of the Genographic Project, explains that other 0.3% are called markers. A marker is a glimpse of the person who lives in the distant past. If an individual person shares a marker with an ancestor, they have the same 0.3% genetic change in their gene. A marker does not change the way a person looks, fight against a disease, or make a person more genetically adaptable to anyone else. It is just something that gets passed down through the generations. Our genetic ancestors unknowingly passed down their markers through the generations to everyone living person on the planet. The documentary shows how a Caucasian lady called Carrie follows her genetic roadmap to another woman referred as Evie who lived thousands of years ago in Africa. Just like a family tree, markers allow us to build people throughout history. Markers are also estimated when people live. By looking at how many markers cluster on the graph, we can look to find where our ancestors came from and they immigrated to. A scientist in the documentary tells us that the marker gave us a timeline of human migration throughout human history. Genetics is a very powerful tool that we can use. Genetic engineering allows us to mix and match characteristics and even clone humans by replicating their DNA. Even though genetics is a very powerful tool, there are many advantages and disadvantages. We can use genetics for many health purposes and even use genetics to trace our human ancestors using markers. In addition, we can replace damaged human cells and that would otherwise cause the irreversible damage to a person's body. If humanity creates a safer moral system for using cloning, then it can be beneficial for anyone. However, if scientists are not able to create a safe moral way to clone, then it can be disadvantage for everyone. This is a clear showcase how powerful genetics is. Genetics is what defines and what will define the generation to come.